Angela, do you think the example of Afghanistan that was just given addresses the issue of whether the United Nations is obsolete and has a role?
I really must say that I think there's so much commingling of what the UN, quote unquote, is doing and what the UN, quote unquote, is not doing. But on the other hand, the situation in Afghanistan is a very dire one. And I don't see that the United Nations can actually contain, or whatever you want to call the word, the Taliban. But on the other hand, what the UN, and this is what I said in my opening statement, what the UN is doing is it's on the ground, it is feeding people, it is helping report on the situation of the woman, what is actually happening in the country. Most of the embassies, the Western embassies in particular, have closed. There are very few embassies that are actually open right now. So who is going to do that? And when you look at the situation on the ground, who are the people looking to basically help them with their basic needs? That is actually the United Nations. And that's what we are doing. Is there going to be any desire to have a, quote, peacekeeping or even a military peacekeeping operation at the UN put together? No, there won't be. So I would not really go and expect that. But on the other hand, there are things that the UN is doing very, very effectively. And the other issue that I wanted to say, because you criticized the fact that a senior official was going over to talk to the Taliban, I have worked for the United Nations for a long time, and basically it is a matter of, do you keep people out of the tent or do you put them into the tent? That is a very important question. I have dealt with and I've negotiated with those autocrats or those despots that you were talking about. And you have to talk to people who have blood on their hands, because basically what you want to do is you want them to come into the tent and you want them actually to be effective, but you cannot do so by isolating them and saying, I'm not going to talk about them. And the same is true for when you speak about the Human Rights Council, which you heavily criticized. I think the Human Rights Council, it is not perfect. It was tried to reform. They made it a Human Rights Council. There's a peer review. Has it been more effective? Well, there are doubts about that. But on the other hand, you want people inside the tent so they actually have to listen to you. You want people inside the tent so they hear the opinion, they hear the criticism, and it is very much there. And you have all of these human rights rapporteurs who come out with reports. If you bother to read them, they are very, very critical. That is also part of the UN. And to my mind, it's a part of a very effective UN, because it stands up to injustice. It stands up for human rights. It stands up for women's rights. And those are very, very important features that don't get reported in the press.